Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Last Act podcast. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you too, Carlos. This is a very special episode. As you can see, there's no guest with us today. That's because we wanted to give everyone a day off, if you will. We wanted everyone to enjoy their Christmas with their families, and so we just decided for it just to be another Carlos and I episode for this week. We should be talking about resolutions and, of course, our good news and maybe a few other things along the way. Carlos, take it away.
Well, I'd just like to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to you too, Brandon. This is a very special and wonderful time of the year. And yeah, like you said, we sort of wanted to give people a day off. We didn't really want to bug our friends and all that and saying like, "Yo, do you want to hop on the podcast this week?" So we decided like let's just do it a very special episode and have another one-on-one personal episode.
Yeah.
So this is what this episode is going to be. We're going to talk about something that's really important right now, and I think it's New Year's resolutions. As you guys know, what I don't know when you're watching this, but New Year's Eve is coming up, and one of the most important parts of New Year's Eve is sort of like making your list of what you want to improve on in the following year. And yeah, and after that, we're gonna do the good news, but start off with our resolutions. I'd like to ask you, Brandon, what is on your numero uno? What is your number one New Year's resolution?
So it was kind of interesting for me to think of something because I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job with self-care. Um, because I'm going to be buying some more books to read. I've been working out. I've been doing this, that, and the other. So the biggest thing that I could come up with was my inability to one, stay on task, and two, or slash laziness. So when I'm doing something, it's very hard for me to just sit still and do it. I tend to get up and like, go look for food or something. And I want to work on that more. I want to just sit down and accomplish whatever I need to accomplish, and then I have the rest of the day to do whatever I want to do. And then with the laziness part, it's starting something. Like I know I have this, this, and this to do, but I mean, I could do it later, so I'm just going to do it later. It's that kind of thing. So I think ultimately just the laziness and the staying on task is my two resolutions, really. What about yourself?
Well, hold on. I'd like to ask you something real quick. In the books that you're planning on reading, are they like self-help books, or what are you going for there?
So I am really obsessed with financial stability, like obsessed with it. Um, I've been reading up on Roth IRA and investing on like stocks and real estate and compounding my money and all of these different things. And that is what I'm going to continue to read on so I can become a master on that, really. Like, by the time I graduate high school, I want to know everything of what I need to do right at that moment to become the most successful I can possibly be. And then once I feel comfortable with that, I'm going to start reading some like Greek philosophy books. One of the biggest one is Stoicism. Um, it's like you don't really need everything you think you need, and so you're living with things that you only need, and it's way more expansive than that. Um, but yeah, it's like financial stability stuff and becoming like a rich person and all that, and then basically like Greek philosophy or philosophy in general, really.
That sounds like a good plan. A book I'd recommend to you and whoever's out there is Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm spacing out on the author, but my teacher, who's now basically my mentor, she's a great person. She let me borrow this book. It's called Rich Dad and Poor Dad, and it basically teaches you the ways of, like you said, becoming financially stable and sort of like building something from literally nothing and how to be smart with your money. So yeah, to anybody out there, and Brandon, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's a great read. And yeah, that's personally not on my New Year's resolution, even though it's like a brilliant idea. I might be looking into that sort of later after I work
Mhm.
on my other stuff. But yeah, my on my number one list is sort of improving myself. And I know that's very cliche. And, I'm not like you, how you said that, you're already finding yourself very well. I'm super proud of you. But on my end, I'm not so much. I feel like as of recently, as the year comes to an end, I'm sort of feeling that fatigue of like, did I live my year to the best? And that comes from other stuff as well, that stuff that I'll be talking about later. But I think the biggest, the most important factor in that is that I just at times found myself like slacking off on my potential, whenever I, for example, like this year was really the year when I started getting myself back into the gym and like working on my health. But there were moments in time when I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna sleep for another hour, and then another hour passes and I just like stayed in my bed for the entire day, and I was like, oh my god, like what am I doing with my life? And at that time I started blaming myself, and then I was like, "Why? Like, this isn't gonna improve me in any way." It's like picking blame. No, it's about taking action. So that's the number one thing, is that I'm gonna take action. I'm gonna sort of improve myself mentally. I'm gonna, like I said, work on my mental health. I'm gonna jot out some steps, because it's not such like a simple task as saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this." Boom, I already got there. And not just that, but also mentally, I want to educate myself. That's one of the biggest goals I had over the summer. And although I did improve a lot, I still found myself like questioning other things. I'm like, did I fully educate myself on a certain topic? And but yeah, I think it's very important to educate yourself, and that's sort of the thing I'm gonna, take on myself. And another thing, I want to improve myself physically. Like I said, working out. I recommend it to anybody out there. It feels very
Agreed.
good yeah, and after like, and it's a weird thing, because when I like the thing with me is that every single time I get out to the gym after like a long period of time where I'm slacking off, it's always that first week that's just so dreadful. Like, do I even want this? You start like finding all these different excuses not to go, like, oh, maybe this or maybe that. But it's like, no, it's like after you're done with that first week, like it can only go up from there.
Yeah.
Improve yourself. And that's what I want to do. I want to improve on myself physically, and also I want to eat healthier. I know that's also a big cliche, but it's like the thing with me is that I let other people make decisions for me for food. Like I'm very like, oh, I try to be very polite. I'm like, no, I don't enjoy declining a certain plate. So I think that's something that I really need to start doing, is like, no, thank you. I'm gonna, very controlling with my play, and how I'm consuming my calories. But also, what is it? Socially, I want to strengthen my relationships, my with all sorts of people. Like for example, just yesterday during Christmas, I reached out to my grandma, who's great person. I love her so much, and it felt good, and it feels good, right? It feels good to like reach out to your loved ones and like remind them how much you care and appreciate for them. And yeah, so we're just the mentally, physically, and socially, I want to improve on all of that.
Yeah, I think all of those are fantastic goals. And I like that you said that most of them are cliches, but I know you
Right.
and I know that you'll take those cliches and actually put them into action. So I think those are pretty good uh,
No, yeah, thank you, thank you.
resolutions. You kept saying that you wanted to educate yourself. What would you like to educate yourself on?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, what I started educating myself on over the summer was, over the summer, it was like chaos all over. Like the whole world was burning down,
Oh
and
yeah.
something that I really wanted to take it upon myself was like sort of like educating myself on the building foundation of everything. And I know I started researching all sorts of like events that happened in the past that sort of led up to these stuff. Like something that was very big on over the summer was sort of like the culture movement in the 60s, and how and after and I feel like after I started reading more books and all that, and reading all these articles on, the Vietnam War era, I feel like then all these stuff that was going on in the world and all that, it started just like making sense. Like, okay, so people are now more how do you even say this? Like they're now more open to their characters and their identities because of this certain thing. And it's something that, it's great to have. It's great to educate yourself on something so they can just open your mind to like all sorts of stuff. But what I really want to tackle on this time is Oh, that's a very good question. I guess there's just all these things, but what I would enjoy educating myself on is tapping into like other cultures,
Yeah.
because I know I've had problems in the past where my lack of education on certain things, it's like it really it sabotages me, and that's, it's never a good feeling when you seem, or when you look disrespectful to somebody just because you lack the education.
Hmm.
So yeah, I kind of like to open my mind on that, and like sort of, and a very interesting topic that like I said, my mentor was trying to get me into was Africa, and sort of like educating myself on what's going on over there, mm, and yeah, I mean, sort of like open my mind. That's sort of the number one on the list.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I might add that to my list as well, because I think people, well, I know people love to judge other things because it's just not what they're used to. So something that's completely normal to like us or like Americans, for example, would be a completely foreign thing to people in Africa or people in Asia or whatever the case is. And I think if you just put yourself in a mile in other people's shoes, then you can start to understand, like, oh, that's why they do this, that's why this happens, and that's why so on and so forth. So I think, yeah, I think I'm gonna add that to my list as well, just to learn other cultures and understand why things are how they are.
Right, yeah. And I think that, that's also you're helping out your future
Yeah.
so that you don't, yeah, you're taking a huge leap forward, which is what we want for the new year. But now that, we sort of got the first New Year's resolution out of the way, I like to ask you, what's your number two? What's second on the list? What is something that, although it's not the most important, it's still something that you want to tackle on. It can be like fun or whatever.
Um, I think so, you know me, and I like to pride myself on being honest. I think
Right.
I need to kind of take that, like, just take a step back on that, because
Mm.
I've always prided myself on being brutally honest, whether everyone likes it or not. But I've learned that that may not be the best idea because every time, or in every instance, people want to ask my opinion or whatever. Because sometimes people just don't need the brutal, honest truth. They just need, reinforcement or something like that. So I think along with that, I'm just going to try to be a little bit nicer to everybody, try to be a little bit more kinder to everybody, especially with my brother because he gets like under my skin. You know how little brothers are. But I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
a complete jerk to him, but I could be nicer. So I think ultimately just taking it back my ego, my pride a little bit, and realizing how it affects other people, and then being a little bit nicer to everybody is my number two.
Yeah, being thoughtful. I think that's really a big one. I mean, after, like I said, after getting through such whatever the hell 2020 was, I think that's one of the biggest lessons we have to learn is like we need to be thoughtful.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like before we start with the world, before we start on our social media, like doing all these stuff, like we have to start at home, like with our little brothers, and like sort of like, being more thoughtful to their process, because like, I think both of our brothers are, at the same age right now, and
Mm.
it's like it's a very delicate age where, you don't, sure, they are annoying and all this sort of stuff, they're going their wings or whatever, but you still, because we've been there, we've been in those shoes before, and it's a special moment.
Yeah.
And what's in the best way to approach that is by being thoughtful and be like, all right,
Mm.
I've been there, so maybe I'm just gonna, like, back off for a bit and let him play on the game or whatever. And but yeah, I I might add that too, because like I said, I'm having my own problems at home with my little brother, and like, it's, yeah, I got to
It,
be more thoughtful
it's
on it.
very interesting in that case because, in the case being, the little brother relationship that we have now, because my brother is 6, 7 years younger than me, and so our lives, maybe we may be in the same generation and all that, but our lives in that at that age are totally different. And so you kind of you can't live by your own morals really because their life is so different to how we had it back in the day, you know. So it's again one of those walk a mile in their shoes, and then you can start to understand. Um, and that's what I'm gonna try to do.
Jeez, you you made it sound so old when we said that
I
we're
mean,
light years away from what we've experienced. But it's true. It's true. Yeah.
it,
It's yeah.
it is just a couple years if you really think about it. But if you look at the time, so let's just say a decade. Let's just say 10 years. Let's 2010 to 2020. Okay, if you back up 100 years before that, say it's 1910 and 1920, you know, times didn't really change much. Now, of course, there was the Industrial Revolution and like a World War and all that stuff, but ultimately, nothing much changed other than like war strategies, really. But in our day and age, you know, we have new cell phones every year. We have new consoles. We have our technology is so advanced compared to 2010. It's crazy. And now every classroom has like a laptop that's accessible to them. Like I remember it was just one a computer lab that we got to use once a week, you know? And now my brother has to use on like a normal school day, not just online. But he like uses a Chromebook every day, and each classroom has a Chromebook cart where everyone can use it. It's far different than what we were used to. And yeah, it sounds like, oh, we're back in our day, like, oh, let's get our canes and walkers out. But no, it really is way different than what we were used to.
It is, yeah, and that can both be like a blessing and a curse. A curse because, like you said, it's like it's very hard to be understanding of each other's circumstances because of that, such a huge difference in what we went through. But it's also sort of a blessing because you can also like lend them some advice, because you sort of been there, and and also like tell them like stories of the like you said the computer lab and playing cool math every day and how that's and like sort of like that good feeling that you had and sort of like lending it to a little brother is sort of like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
But yeah. Um on my second on my second New Year's resolution, I kind of wanted to tackle something less serious, It's something that it's more to help future me. And it's to make something. I feel like that's something that in 2020 I think I lost or it's sort of like declined is my ability to like make on the spot like an idea, like visualize a story or whatever. And I think it's because I stopped using that part of me, that creativity for a while. And that's when I was like, I was really going through it. And so like everything else didn't matter to me. I was, like feeling pity over myself, which, you never want to do because it really affects your strengths in such a horrible way. So I think that's my second one on the list is to really, exercise my creativity and hopefully by the end of the year I can make something. I know I talked to you about shooting something when
Yep.
when you come to visit me or when I come to visit you and but right now I'm starting small like I said it's baby steps. Right now I'm like I said I'm trying to visualize an idea because I think that's the first and I want to make it personal, so like instead of like oh, let me make this, fantasy movie. It's like I want to like look back and like look at the most important and most like special moments in my life and like I can make something out of this, and that's something that I really want to do. And when I get there, hopefully I can start writing. And 'cause that's one of my favorite processes in like making something is like when you're there and you're just like writing it because because you're basically like a god at that moment. You're sort of
Mm.
like making your own world and like you can make it as personal as you want or as like absurd as you want. It's all up to you. But that's sort of the thing that I want to get there. I want to start with baby steps, visualize something, and then get to the writing, and then let the future solve itself.
Yeah, I know that you are very like a creative person. Like even your position in our podcast is creative director slash writer, because that's just who you are. That's what you do. So I'm very happy to know that you want to, start expressing that creativity more. Um, but does that mean you're gonna start making comic books again? Because I know you kind of stopped doing that.
Whoa, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think Because all right, first let me say, there was a certain period in my time when comic books were my life, you know. And after I started like reading comic books, I'm like, all right, you know, what if I make my own? You know, like I know what I like. Why don't I make something that I would like even more, and maybe find something that you know, maybe find people who would enjoy the same things I do, and so I can make that. And yeah, it was at a very young age. I want to say sixth grade when I first started putting pen to pencil and like making these absurd ideas or whatever, and I'm hold on, I'm gonna get off task here, but in seventh grade, I'm gonna start ranting. In seventh grade, I had this assignment. My English teacher told us to make a superhero and then make a story for a superhero and make you know all sorts of stuff to just like develop a superhero character. I was like, okay, cool. You know, this is the best thing ever. It's an assignment that I was born for. And so I did, and I might have gone carried away because I took it to like 14 pages and then started making like his own costume, everything. I just got so carried away, and when I turned it in was the very next day, my teacher said, "I'm not going to accept this." the the there was a 4 page minimum, so I went, you know, way over that. So I ended up screwing myself over, and I think that moment I really just like I lost all hope. And like I said before, it's the worst thing that you could do is like screw your strengths over. And but that's something that I recently started like and it was the when we got Aiden back for some reason that moment, and it was also because of this the good feedback we were getting from that episode of Caleb. I was like, I started feeling good about myself. And when you feel good about yourself, you sort of like want to tap into other things. And something I did tap into was like my love for comic books. I started reading a comic book, and then I, you know, started again putting pen to pencil and just getting carried away with a story. And although it wasn't the best story ever, it's still, you know, a baby step. And
Yeah.
hopefully I can make something fun. You know, whenever I am like working on a comic book or whatever, I'm never taking myself too serious. You know, like I'm not like a Stephen King out there. Just like it's fun. It's supposed to be fun. And you're supposed to make something that's fun. But yeah, hopefully I can, and you know, I can show you, and you
Oh
can give
yeah.
me some of that honest, good feedback of yours.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be very happy to read something that you made because I know that you may not take yourself too seriously, and I think that's a good thing. But whatever you make, you put your soul into it, you put your heart into it, and so you can tell that there's passion behind whatever you made. And so whatever it is, I'm always down to look at it, read it, watch it, whatever, because I know that it'll be a good read or be a good watch because just from knowing you and how you put your effort into what you make.
Well, I appreciate it, buddy. But yeah, let's hope that we, you know, we can strike some luck here, and who knows, maybe like I said, we can make something the two of us, something that we can put out there,
Yeah.
and give ourselves that strong identity. You know, it can also improve on our podcast a lot.
Oh yeah.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, I think that does it, right, for resolutions.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I'm satisfied. You're
Me
satisfied. All
too.
right. Okay.
So
All
we got
right.
to start with good news then.
Good news, yeah. Good news, very good news. It's the holiday season. You know, it's time for cheer. Everybody's out there watching their Christmas movies or whatever. Uh, but what I found very interesting was this story that I picked up. It's about a father who died 6 years ago, and he left his son $10 to buy his first beer when he turned 21. It's you know, losing a dad. I mean, I don't know what that must be like, but you know, it's I know people who have, and it's sort of this experience that it's you know
It's
it
beyond
truly is
explanation.
unfortunate.
It's beyond
Yeah,
explanation.
it's beyond explanation. Yeah, so basically this hold on, let me get his yeah, so his dad, Matt Goodman's father, who passed away six years ago due to cancer, he he always had this dream of buying a beer with his dad, and unfortunately he passed away. However, his mom kept it a secret that the dad had saved him $10 so that he could buy his first drink when he turned 21. And as you can imagine, it was a very magical moment for them. And the young Matt Goodman said, knowing that he thought about a future big moment in my life meant everything, because because even being gone, he still did whatever he could to make my 21st birthday. He told that to CNN, so shout out to them for covering the story. It's very beautiful, heartwarming story.
Yeah, I think if I was in that situation, that'd be like tears falling down my face because he
Right,
said like
yeah.
his dad found a way to show up to his 21st birthday, and I think that's very, very special.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
let's see, my story. My story is McDonald's gives a new car and golden arches to a family whose autistic son draws them continuously. So there's this kid who lives in Florida and he's 15. I'm trying to find his name. Devin. So Devin is an autistic kid. He's grown up autistic, and throughout his childhood, he always drew like the McDonald's sign. So like if you pass by a restaurant, there's always that long pole and then the golden arches on the top. He drew those continuously. Like
All in the
I'm looking at a picture right now, and there's just continuous pages and pages and pages of this sign. And um, once Hurricane Michael came through Florida, they lost some stuff, and McDonald's ended up hearing Devin's story of his love for the Golden Arches. They actually had him uh, work without actually working at the store just to get the experience, and then they gave him. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's a golden arch. It kind of looks like a former sign that's they just replaced or something, and they gave it to him as like a replica, really. And that was really cool. That was going to be the whole thing. But the holidays came, and they decided to give Devin, since he was turning 16, the McDonald's decided to give him or buy him a brand new car. I just thought it was very good for a super huge corporation to really just um, be like local and be community based and be uh, donating back. I just thought that was really interesting. That part is what made me decide to share this, because usually those large corporations, they just want people's money, but you just got to see that maybe it's not all about the money. Maybe it's just about being kind to someone for the holidays.
That's a very heartwarming story, and yeah, I think that's sort of the impression everybody gets. Is like all these huge corporations, they're greedy. They really don't care about us, and stories like this, it really makes it makes you think like, the people behind they're humans too, and and they feel that need to spread cheer, especially in like times like these. But that's a very heartwarming story. It's probably my favorite story that we've told here. Devin, shout out to him.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I think that does it, right? It's is
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could do, the last act, give her final thoughts. Is there anything
mm,
else you would like to add?
yeah. Well, um, this is a very magical time. In our our previous episodes, I didn't mention this before, but I've sort of been having this experience where I'm feeling very happy with what we've been receiving, and although although criticism and compliments, it doesn't matter. It still feels good to hear that a friend of yours enjoys something, and that's something that I wanted to say in the previous episode, but I didn't have time to. But yeah, so thank you for giving us, this opportunity to whoever's out there, to make something that we enjoy, and have yourself a wonderful holiday time. What about you, Brandon? Anything you want to
Um,
say out there?
I was just gonna say thank you for all of the crazy amounts of support that we've gotten. Um, to be completely honest, we haven't really gotten many comments, many DMs or anything, which is totally fine. But just seeing how many views we've gotten per video, how many subscribers we've gotten in only 4 episodes, I mean, it's outstanding numbers. I mean, sure, like below 30 or at 30 is kind of a low number, but for only a month of doing a channel, that's crazy reach. I'm very grateful for that. And for the last episode of 2020, I just think it's a good feeling to just be grateful for that. Just be grateful for what, what Carlos and I have built. I'm grateful for Carlos for creating this for me. I'm grateful for the three guests that we've had so far, Aiden, Caleb, and Jacob. All very great guests. Go check out those episodes. You will love them for sure. Um, but yeah, I'm just grateful, and I'm happy for all of the support that we've gotten this year.
Yeah, definitely. For example, I got a text from a good friend of mine who I haven't talked to since like school shut down, and he really just gave me this heartwarming message of like, "Hey, I really enjoyed this episode. Keep going at it." And it gave me this feeling that it was like, okay, so what I'm doing does matter to somebody, and whether that's, whether it's not like you said, it's not, it's still a very humble number. It still feels good though,
Yeah.
that you feel like you're making a difference for somebody's day. Um, but yeah, thank you for giving us this opportunity. I know this is a short episode, and we're not our best right now, but we just felt like we needed to put something out there, whether it be consistency or to spread that holiday cheer. We wanted to give you guys something out there.
Yeah.
So, like I said, thank you very much.
But with that, thank you for watching The Last Act. Again, this is the last episode of 2020. Thank you for making us end 2020 on a somewhat good note. I mean, of course, it's not perfect in any way, but it's better. Thank you for all the support. Thank you, Carlos, for making another episode with me. Much appreciated. Love you. And yeah, thank you for watching. See ya.